My name is Fortunee Powell, and I was born in Cairo, Egypt. And Fortunee, you spell it Fortunee. Okay? And I was born in Cairo, Egypt. Yes.
Your maiden name.
And then were you ever faced with religious prosecution growing up?
I always faced religious persecution when I lived there until I was 16. And after 16, we left. But every day of our lives, we experience, persecution. Every day. It didn't go one day that we did not. It was a miracle if we didn't. Yes.
How was it growing up in a Jewish and a Muslim country?
In Muslim country, it was very, very difficult because the Muslim, they hate the Jews. So whenever, anytime they wanted to do something, whatever it is, any excuses to accuse the Jews of anything wrongdoing, they would do it. I can give example. Can I give example? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Well, in 1948, Israel became, they got Israel became Israel, they voted to have Israel. And then the British, they were there with Israel and the Palestine, okay? So they divided Israel, part of it went to Israel, part to the Palestinian, the Muslim people. But the Muslim people were not happy. And the Egyptian people, where I was working, they were not happy. They wanted to have all Israel, all for the Palestinian. So they really, in 1948, this is when they started doing more atrocity than other. And they wanted to bombard our school. So my school, they had, there was like a little mountain behind our school, and they wanted to bring, to blow it up, to blow the school. So they had two bombs in their car, and they were traveling fast because they wanted to get us when we were all in the, in the courtyard playing. So they get as many people as they could. And they went very fast and they blew themselves up. But when they blew themselves up, it was close enough that all the kids, we had runny noses, the ear, whatever. I had a bloody nose that I had to go to the, infirmary there to stop it. And it was very, very scary. And the whole, because it was a mountain, like a reddish sand mountain, the whole school became like reddish, And I don't have to tell you the detail, how the parents wanted to come and get us out of the school. But the principal of the school had a machine gun, and I could see it because I was coming from the infirmary to go to my classroom after the bloody nose. And he was there and he said, anybody, they locked the gate. It was locked the gate. You can see the school if you go to the school Community Israelite, you will see that there is a big gate. And he had the gate there that was closed. He said, anybody who goes up that gate, try to enter the school, I'm going to shoot. Whether it's a parent or a person there, and there were like hundreds of people outside that I wanted to come and kill the kids. And the highest grade there was like junior high. And they wanted to kill, to kill the thing. Our neighbor came and he came in from the side of the school, and they had a small door, and he entered and he took his kids and and my family. And we were like 5 children or 4 kids at the time. Yeah. Now, Moise was not there yet. It was me, my sister Maggie, my sister Katie, and my brother Moise. And he told us, okay, we're going to go out and we're going to go the long way home so we don't pass this crowd, the crazy crowd. And I don't want you to look back or look at anything. You just walk and don't say anything, not a sound. And he took us home. This is one thing. Then they took, in 1948, they blew up Jewish quarters. And in the Jewish quarter, my father had his aunt, his mother's sister, that lived there with her daughter and kids. And they blew the house. All the kids were safe, and she was the last one to come out. And the wall collapsed on her, and she died. And they took picture of her in the newspaper, And anyway, my father was very upset because as she lay down on the floor, with the rubble, she had her breast was you could see her breast out. And my father said I didn't even have the decency to cover her breast. And it was his aunt. So after that, that's 1948. Then after that, they did lots of other things. In 1952, and you can go online and see 1952 Black Saturday.
Pictures of Cairo taken before the recent appalling riots show a big city with fine streets and modern buildings, many of which, of course, were the product of foreign interests, cinemas, shops and hotels that catered for the tourist trade in this oriental capital. Now Cairo looks as if a blitz had struck it. The rioting that followed the trouble in Ismailia was clearly a thoroughly organized attack on the property of British and other foreign nationalities. Pictures taken from a car driving through the city afterwards are themselves a startling comment on the extent of the devastation. Colossal damage was done, one of the major casualties being the famous Shepherd's Hotel, which was gutted by fire and totally destroyed. Early estimates put the total damage at £50 million, many millions of which related to British premises. Many British lives were lost in the course of the murderous attacks by Egyptian mobs. Although next day the Egyptian premier was dismissed by the king, the murders had been committed and the damage done.
In February 1952, and they were very upset, and they started burning everything that belonged to European people, anybody, any Jewish place, any European, and there were European people, there were people from France, from England, and they burned everything, and they burned our school. I remember they burned the school, and I was for a minute I was saying, oh, we don't have school anymore. I said, my God, oh, they burned the school. And the Muslim concierge that was there, he wanted to protect the people. They took him and they threw him in the fire, and he burned his hand. He didn't have a hand anymore when we went back to school. So after that, that is 1952. We didn't have any classroom for a while. So the Jewish school, there was another Jewish school. So they told us we're going to go there. And to get there, we used to go to the temple, and so every group, because it was one Jewish school for everybody, for everybody in town in Cairo. So the people came from, like 10 miles away, 8 miles away, 6 miles away. We were like a mile and a half away from the school. And every group went to a temple, and they would send the bus, to pick us up and took us to the Jewish quarter where they had one school. And we would sit in the classroom, but because they did not have too many classrooms to accommodate the whole school, we would sit like 5, 6 people in a bench that only sat 2 people. So we sit like tiny kids, and we could not write, but they would say, you don't need to write. We're going to give you, the homework to take at home. And we want you to study very hard, because we don't want that the people that did that to us to win, and you don't get your education. We want to show them that education, you're still going to do it, and you're going to excel more than any other year. And we really studied very hard, and we were there. And we were there like it was from February till the end of the year. They didn't have the school. By September the following year, they fixed our school again, and they painted it, but they had to change I remember I had lots of pictures that I was very good at drawing all over the school. My drawing, everything was burned, and they put new, chairs, and new, everything was new inside. They changed everything except the walls, and that's it. And I was there until I was, like 13, 14. And after that, I went to the French school, and that's it. It was Lycée Français, Okay, that's so that's what they did. And for it's very strange because people don't know when they say the Palestinian, they push them away, wherever. They don't know that from all the Arab country like Egypt, Syria, Lebanon, Morocco, Yemen, they threw away all the Jews, and the Jews went to Israel. They had to take them, and no other place would take them. And as you lived in Egypt, regardless, you were never a citizen. You didn't have any right. And they never, and they would come and they say, oh, you're a spy. You say, I'm not a spy. Yes, you are, You don't have any way of proving that you were, you have the birth certificate, but that's about it. But you were not stateless. You could not vote. You don't have any rights whatsoever. So that's what it is. Let's see here. What else? So,
when and how did you come to America?
When you came to America in 1956, when they had the war, it was Israel and France and England. They had the war against Egypt because the Suez Canal, they threw like sand or something that they could not get the boat across. So England and France were very upset, and Israel, so they went to Suez and they wanted to get the Suez Canal open so they have their boats going through, So there was a war, but then they stopped the war. It was, I guess, Eisenhower stopped it, say enough, everybody. And then there were Egyptians that were mad, say Israel. So they take it out on the Jews that were in their country. So what happened is that every Jew that was there, they confiscated their bank account. They could not do. They threw them out of their job. So they didn't have work to do. So whatever money you had at home or jewelry, you would sell it, to eat, and then everybody started leaving. And my cousin, my father's brother's son, they would go and pick up all the kids that were 16 and over. I mean, you read, I gave you the thing to read, that Dr. Maurice Mizrahi, remember? Okay. Yeah. They would go and pick up all the young men from their houses, teenager, like 16 to over, and they would put them in prison. And then they tell the parents, if you want to see your son alive, or if you want to see him, you have to live in 10 days or 2 weeks or whatever. Okay. So I remember they came to our house, and they would go to every Jewish house, and they go and they have like 4 soldiers with the big guns, and they come in there anytime. It was like after 10 at night, and my father opened the door, and they say, hey, you have any big boys, big young men? I say, no, I don't. Say, we want to see. So they came in the bedroom, and I was sleeping with my sister, and they opened the cover, and then they saw my hair. I had long hair, and it was a braid, and it fell out, and they say, oh, okay, and then that's it. Then they harassed my father, and they left. But they went next door, and they got the husband of the woman, and they picked him up, and they left. So and he was in jail for a while. So let's see here how we came to America. So that was in 1956. At the end, it was October of 56 that the war. So we started getting, and my father, now we don't have any, he doesn't have work. The money at the bank is taken. So we have so much. We had really a friend in Ethiopia that was a royal family person. His name was Amha Abera Kassa. And he was a friend of the family. And he said, why don't you come to Ethiopia and to be safe? Because people living all at the same time, Israel could not get everybody, at the same time. So some of them, if they were French citizen, they would go to the consulate and they left. And you could not go directly from Cairo to Israel. You had to go to another country, whether in Europe, excuse me. And then they would go, they take them later at a time. I'm going to drink. So that's what happened. So he invited us there, and we went to Ethiopia. And it was 1957, March 1957. So it was like 4 or 5 months later. We all went there, and we stayed there 2 years. And my mother and father applied to come to the United States. My mother had her brother-in-law living in San Diego, so he sponsored us. But we had my mom and dad had 6 children, and then my grandmother and grandfather also, they came with us. So we were 10 people in all, So we had to apply to come to the United States, show that we were healthy, that we didn't have any communicable diseases, and that we were self-sufficient, that we could earn our own living, that we were not going to be a burden to the government. And we applied, and it took almost 2 years to let us come. And it was not easy because you had to buy ticket for 10 people, and at the time the planes were not that big or that full. So we went from Ethiopia, we went to France, we stayed 3 days. No, we went to Italy first, then we went to France, and and then we came to America, and we came to San Diego. My mother, when they asked her where you want to live, she went and she saw that San Diego and Alexandria, they're on the same, level,
Latitude.
yeah. So it was, same longitude, latitude, and she said, that's what I want to be. And that's what happened, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, my grandfather used to like to ride his bicycle. And he used to ride the bicycle, and then some of the neighbor, they said, oh, he ride the bicycle, and the light at night, he sends messages to the plane, to tell them where he's at, and tell them Morse code, with the, he didn't do that, but they find any reason. So they were scared, and they left. They lived in Alexandria. They came and lived with us in Cairo until we did all the paperwork. And when you do the paperwork, they were not very kind. They treat you like, okay, pretty bad. They were not, I don't want to say the bad word, but they treat you like that. And you have to smile and say, okay, whatever. So until we left, But once we were in Ethiopia, we were kind of safe. People were very nice in Ethiopia, very loving, very kind. They, at the time, they didn't have any religious persecution or religious between them. There were some Muslim, some, some Christian, and there were but not too many Jews that were there, very few. But the Muslim and the Christian, they intermarried, and they were very, comfortable with it. They were very kind, and they were very soft-spoken, very, when they talk, the Ethiopian people, very soft-spoken, very loving. Yeah, and we went there for 2 years in the French school. Okay, then what other question here?
What type of schools did you go to?
We went French school, Lycée Français. It was French school, and then I got my baccalaureate, like high school thing, and you get a test, and and they watch you when you take the test, and then you get the result, and they tell you. So it was French school, yeah. And in school, when I was young, you learn 3 languages. You learn French, first language, then Arabic, second language, and then Hebrew, third language. And we learned everything from kindergarten, Oh, so in class, we had French history, and then we have Arabic history, We had geography in English, in French, and geography in Arabic, And then the Hebrew is we learn about the Bible, about the, the Torah, and the prayers. And I have to understand that in Egypt, not everybody was mean. Like we had people that were extremely loving, that would die for my father, that would die for me and my family. So there were some people that were not as fanatic, and they were very kind and very, and I still remember them, and they were good friends from school, because even Muslim people went to my school, And when we had the Hebrew lesson, they had the lesson they had their how you call it,
Quran.
the Quran, you know. So when we had Hebrew, they had the Quran, and we're best friends, you know. So it's not, you know, it's just the government and everything else, and then they incite the people to say, the Jewish people, that's why you're poor, the Jewish people did this, they did that, then incite them, and they run like crazy, you know, like when you see here, when they burned New York and when they burned that's what they do, you know, that's what they did. But then they blame the same person, honey, that used to take us to school, you know, and we were like 4 kids, and the neighbor had 3 kids, and we had to, you know, to go through a big, busy street to go to our school. He would say, hold my fingers, you know, each one, and he had his 10 finger, everybody hold his finger, and he make us cross and take us there. When they were burning the thing in February 1952, you know, when they were burning Egypt, and he was down there, he told the people that were, there are Jews in that building, why don't you burn it? I mean, he's the man that my mom and father trusted to, you know, with our lives. And he said, burn the building. And then other people say, don't burn the building, because there are Jews here, but there are Muslims that live in the same building. You know, it was, you know, like, let me see, 12 apartments, you know, one on each side, and there were 6 floors. And say, don't do it. You know, there are also Muslim people here. So they decided not to. But can you imagine, you're inside the house, and my mother said, keep quiet, don't make any noise. And they closed the shutters, you know, the brown wooden shutters, and we look, but you hear that they want to burn the building. It's very scary. It's very, you know, it lives, until now I have nightmares, you know. So, but that's what it is. It was, you know. But thank God we came to America, and it's really great. It's really like, it's a good feeling, you know. It's very good here, yeah, honey. I mean, there is some prejudice, like there's some bad apple all over, you know, but it's not as pronounced as over there. So that's it. Yeah. So you're next, Josh.
Yes, ma'am. Hi, I'm Josh, and
Are you Josh? Josh? Yeah, you're Josh.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
Josh.
Okay. So your question: what do you think God allows
Oh, I
suffering?
love suffering. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I don't think God allows suffering in this you know, world, honey. We're here to learn lessons, you know, and they're good and they're bad. And when there's suffering, if you are tolerant and feel the pain of other people, it makes you a better person, and you want to help. And it cannot be only one thing, one good, and not the other side. Always there is both sides. And suffering is not allowed. It just happens because that's how he created it. You know, he created happy people and he created pain. But if people are they're here to learn, you know, and be loving to each other. And when you see your friend suffer, you really feel for him, and the love you give him and he give you back. This is what happens. This is how you become a much nicer person, and that's what you're here to learn. And if you don't learn, then it happens to you, and then you understand what the guy was going through. But if you have understanding, then you learn and you rise above it every time. Yeah.
What do you want us to know about your religion?
My religion, I like it very much because it's only I like all religion, but I like mine because it's only you and God. There is nobody in between. So it's always just you and your God, and that's it. Nobody interferes how you pray. Nobody tells you how to do it. You know, you just got to the God directly, and God talks to you directly. So that's what I like about my religion, that there is no in between. You're always there, you know, you and your creator. That's it. You know, if you put anything in between, they don't like it. They don't have anything like that. What makes you stronger? Judaism? Judaism has been there a long time, honey. I mean, forever, and I believe in it because that's what I believe. That, you know, I was born Jewish, and in Egypt, if they say change your religion, will kill you, I'll say kill us. You know, I don't care. So I believe very much in Judaism, and I believe that, and then the other one, what your opinion about Buddhism? Well,
Yeah, other religions such as
yeah,
Buddhism.
any religion that takes you to God is good. There is no bad religion, as long as you're tolerant for others. But, the road to God is many, many ways you can reach God. How you reach him, it's your own business. If you're Muslim, is fine. If you're Buddhist, is fine. If you're Christian, is fine. Whatever it is, is how you reach God. And nobody should interfere with other people's religions. That's how they pray to their God is great. That's how they reach him. Some people need maybe to light a candle to be in the spirit of having God near them, whatever, which is fine. Some people pray a lot and say, feel God, whatever. Nobody's business, So that's, I respect all religion, every religion, the Muslim, the Jewish, the Christian, the Buddhism, every religion.
What is something, yeah.
What I misunderstand about Judaism. Okay. What gets me about Judaism, there's always bad apple, so there are some bad Jews, there are good Jews and some bad Jews. But when a Jew does something wrong, all of a sudden you say, because he's Jewish. No, he's a bad person, has nothing to do with his religion. He's just not a nice person, So that's what, when somebody, we always get uncomfortable when a Jewish a person does something not correct, because then they blame the religion. It has nothing to do with the religion. He's a thief because he's a thief. It's not because he's Jewish. He's a thief, If he's a murderer, he's a murderer. But they always emphasize, if you're hearing on the news, Jewish so-and-so, the Jewish whatever, he wanted the money, he's a Jew. They don't say when a murderer, he was a Seventh-day Adventist, or he was Christian or Catholic. They never mention the religion of other people. But if a Jewish person does something, they always say he's Jewish. So that's why there's a misunderstanding. It's not, And they're always bad apple everywhere, So that's what it is. Hi, Miranda. Nice to meet you. Okay. What is your opinion about Jesus? Okay. I always learned that, even my father, that Jesus was a rabbi, was a good Jew. He was a very loving person, and to love him and to respect him, always. So that's my opinion about it. He was a good Jew, and it was very sad because he's Jewish, they killed him, like they killed so many other Jews of the time. So that's what I think. And my opinion of Jesus, I love Jesus. He was a good person, a good rabbi. So yeah, that's it. But I don't feel like he's a son of God or thing like that. No, I don't. I just feel he was a good rabbi. He respected the Jewish religion. He died, and he wanted the people to be better and to be loving to each other. All of that is good. Can people who are not Jewish be saved and go to heaven? Yes, they do. And you know who said that they can go to heaven directly? The Pope himself last year. Because the Jewish people were chosen by God. That's what they say. And so they're always chosen by God, and they'll go to heaven. They don't have to become Christian or anything to go to heaven. And the Pope said that. You can go and look, about the Pope, and you'll see that he said Jewish people will go to heaven. And it was good because my son, who's Jewish and married, Taji's mother, who's Catholic, she was always worried I'll go to heaven and you might not go because you're Jewish. No, the Pope say, no, he'll be going to heaven too. So she's happy about that. And I'm happy about that too. How do I pray? Okay, I pray in Hebrew because that's how I learn, just Hebrew.
Yeah.
Hebrew. And then I talk to God every day. We have always conversation, I'm happy, not happy, whatever. So since I was young, so that's, but I pray in Hebrew. I don't know how, that's how we learn,
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the Jewish future will be in upcoming years with the hostility towards Israel? Well, I was happy, not that with Trump, not because I didn't, like not everything I was happy with him, but I was very happy that he was for Israel, and he helped Israel, and he helped Israel to say, if they attack you, you can defend yourself. You know, that's it. You can. And the Palestinian, they don't want Israel to exist at all. The Jewish, they don't want them out. They want them, throw them in. So there was never any, you know, reconciliation, because they don't want them to exist. Not only to live, they don't want them to be there. So where can they go? You know, there are 8 million of them there, 7 million. Where do you want them to go? You know, the Muslim countries have lots of Muslim cities, and all the Muslim countries around there, they kept the Palestinian to not to help them. So it's like a sort thing to be against the Jews, you know. And then they say, oh, you don't feel good, you don't do right, whatever. That's because of the Jews. So go and kill them, go and this, and then make them do things that probably their nature is not there, you know. So, but Trump came and said, I'm not giving you money if you're going to go and do things to the Jewish people. So they stopped doing that, and they can get along. I mean, I went to Israel, and there are lots of Muslims that live in Israel, and Israel have something good, that the doctors are free, you know, and schools are free, colleges are free. So everybody, whether you're Jewish or Muslim, you can go there. You can go and get help. Even tourists, if you go there and you're sick, you go to the doctor, you don't have to pay. So, you know, so whatever. And the school, you know, if you're a good student, you become a doctor. If you're not a good student, you become maybe an engineer, whatever, you know. But they go by your grade, how you're going to do it, you know. Well, over here, even if you have a bad grade, you say, I'm going to learn, I'm going to do it. I'm going, you know, you don't tell me what school to go to, you know, which is different. Over there, you know, it's everything for free. So get your grade, you can go in. You don't get your grade, but here also, I mean, you have to get A+ to go for it, you know, for a good school. Yeah. If I want, we go to temple. Yes, we go to temple. Yes. But right now there is no temple. Yeah. And all my kids, they got bar mitzvah, you know, when they were 13. So even Teddy's father, you know, and they at 13, what I like about our temple is they let the little kids always, you know how when you go to the Catholic Church and they're always up there where the rabbi is or the priest, they always get them up there. And then they let them sing, they let them pray, they let them talk to the people. So they're very comfortable having, you know, like conversation with adults as they grow older, because they've done it since they were young. They're there and they say, okay, you say that prayer, or you say this, you sing this, you sing that. And then you say, one of you is going to do the, you know, talk to the people next week about a good subject, choose it. So the kids before they're 13, they've done it hundreds of times, you know. So when they go to school or classes or colleges, they don't feel, they're not shy to stand up and talk to an audience, you know. And that's a nice thing to do, you know. They're not shy at all, you know, they're big mouth. That's what I say.
First question, in your opinion, what is the defining feature of Jewish life today?
I don't know what the feature. I don't understand it. What is it? What they define it?
Something Jewish that like
today? It's like
stands out in Jewish life.
It's like your life. It's nothing different. Only we go to temple and you go to, you know, to church. It's nothing different. You know, parents are the same and life is the same. And we have more restriction on dietary foods, you know, the Jewish religion. You know, you cannot cook you don't eat pork. You don't eat anything that, you know, I mean, you can go and see what the dietary thing, you cannot cook, you cannot have meat and milk at the same time, because they say it could happen that says the baby, the mother's milk, and then the baby, they kill the baby. We don't want the milk and the baby, you know, whatever cow to be cooked together. So they don't have that, you know, things like that, dietary. And everything is mostly, I guess, to follow. So you remember you're Jewish, you know. And they have the Jewish people, they wear a talit, that's around their neck. And at the end of the talit, there is like knots, and there are 693 knots. And each one you have to do a good, something good, something kind, and there are 600 of them. So they can choose a whole bunch. If you're nice to a person, that's count. If you're charitable, that's count. If you help the sick, that's count. If you go to temple, that's counting. So if you're nice to your neighbor, it counts. If you're a good student, it counts. So whatever it is. What is my favorite Jewish book? Okay,
yeah, you've read one. I don't know.
Is that beside the Torah, beside the Bible?
Yeah.
Okay, there is one that says, guard your tongue. And guard your tongue I like it because when you read it, it tells you how to talk to people, how to be kind, how to be considerate, how not to gossip, how not to say harsh words, how not to get false witnesses or lie or things like that. So the whole book, it tells you how to treat other people, and the reason why you treat them like that, like if somebody is a thief or whatever, it's none of your business. Stay quiet. But if your friend wants going to do business with him, you have to warn him, but warn him in a nice way without him ridicule the thief, So anyway, so that's a guard your tongue. Don't say and don't gossip. Don't say bad things. Don't cuss. Don't take the words of God in vain. So the whole thing, the whole book is to tell you how to be nice to other human beings and the reason to be nice, Why you have to keep your mouth shut when sometimes you want to blur up, say, hey, baby, and cuss or something. It tells you, don't do it because, the ramification, and it tells you about what would happen and the reason. Then you say, okay, so I like that book very much. I like whoever reads it, they'll have a better understanding how to talk to, how to be kinder to people. And how to keep their mouth shut, and when to speak up and when to keep their mouth shut.
Next question. If you could meet any figure from Jewish history, who would it be and why?
Yeah, I would meet Moses. Definitely. He's my favorite one. I can imagine going through all the miracles that happen and seeing the sea opening, if it's really whatever really happened, And then he got the 10 commandments, and the 10 commandments that everybody love your God, love your father and mother, honor your father and mother, all of that. Don't steal, don't kill, whatever. All those 10 things that he has. That's my favorite person, human being, yeah. And in the Bible, he never went to Israel. He died alone. He went on the mountain and died because they didn't want him to be like they keep him and go like make him like God. So he just did his thing and bye-bye, and that's it. Okay, and then they said he's the only person that talked face to face to God and did not die. So that's my favorite person.
What do you think Jewish life would look like 100 years from now?
It will be the same like now. It's been there for several thousand of years. It won't change. Jewish people are very committed to their religion. They're a very small group. They're, I guess, like 0.002% of the population, but they're very bright and they're dedicated. And the nice thing about the Jewish people is education is the most important thing in their lives. So the parents sacrifice whatever, and the kids are always well educated, and they always want them to have better education than they have. So if you see like 20% of the people that win the Nobel Prize, 20% of all the world population, and the Jewish population only 17 million, while the other population is like, well, I guess 80 billion or something like that. Like 20% of all the prize winners are Jewish people. And the reason is, they had to study. When I came to America, I didn't speak English, honey. I didn't speak English at all. And I came here, we left in March. I came here, school was up. And my mother took me in August at city school. I had my high school, I say, and she said, you're going to sign to college. I said, what do you mean I signed to college? I don't speak their language. I don't know anything. I cannot go, Mom. Oh, yes, you're going. And she took me and we went to city college. We lived in Claremont, went to city college downtown. And she signed me and I said, what can I take? I said, well, you know French, don't you, Tony? I said, yeah. So when the people are learning French, I want you to go the other side and learn the English side, okay? And you speak Italian, don't you, Tony? Yeah. So you take Italian. So when they're learning Italian, you learn the French. And then I want you to take typing. So when you type, you learn the words when you're typing, okay? And then you take math, early math. But math, easy math was, she said, you know how to do it. You already have high math and you're going to do stupid math. So you'll be able to do it. So I went there for 6 months, but my sister and I, every day, we'd have 10 words I would give her. I would open the dictionary and choose very hard word at the time, And I tell her, okay, what that word means, write it down and tell me what it means. So she writes it down. If it's incorrect, I tell her how to spell it and what does it mean. If she doesn't know it, then she marks it what it means. And she gave me 10 words. So I had 10 words and she had 10 words. So every day we learn 10, 20 new words. By, 6 months later, we're speaking English. That was it, I remember go on the bus the first day and I did not know the money. And the guy said, pay, I said, well, why? I don't know. They had $1, I don't know. So I give him, say, put it in, they use, I don't know if the buses had like a token box that you had to put the whatever 35 cents. Well, I did not know the money at all, nothing. So he gave me the change. So he gave me the chair, I gave him the dog, gave me the chair. I went to sit down. I said, hey, come back here. You didn't put the money in here. I said, how much do I put? So he took it from my hand and he put it in the thing. So I had to learn to put the 15 cents in the thing to go city college. That's how much it costs. And if I bought the tokens I had, it was 10 cents, the bus ride. So that's how much it was when I went to school here. And that was 1959, at the end of 59. Probably when your parents were not born yet either. Yeah. Yeah, so here, what do you think?
What Jewish holiday means the most to you and why?
Okay, the Jewish holiday that means the most, I like lots of them because I have some that are for planting, some for harvesting, some for the Jewish New Year, some to celebrate the Torah, that they hold it and they dance at the temple, they hold the big Bible, whatever, and it's all decorated in gold and whatever. And everybody passes it to everybody and they dance. And then there is another holiday, they call it Yom Kippur, and this is that from the Jewish New Year to that day, there are 10 days, and you have to fast. Think about God for the whole 10 days and ask God for forgiveness. Ask the people that you hurt for forgiveness. Ask for everybody that you done something wrong to forgive you. And they say you have to ask them to forgive you, and then God will forgive you, So that's all. But the best one is Passover, That's when the Jews left Egypt and they make Passover and they eat the matzah, they eat the unleavened bread. Okay, so we have it at night, and then the parents tell the kids, they tell them the story of them. The Jewish people left Egypt and Moses helped them and all that. But the nice thing about it, they tell you the story and they invite all the family. So the family gathered together and the father tells the story to the kids. And I remember my father was a very good storyteller. He tell us the story and then he said, okay, then the water separated and the Jewish people were walking, and then Pharaoh's people came in there and the water, they killed them. And we say, oh, great. And my father said, no. God was very sad. If you read the Bible, he was very sad. And I said, why? He said, because those children were also his children. So we learn, tolerance, that even though they were, so that was the best one because I had good time with my dad and my sisters and family, you know. And my grandparents used to come and visit that holiday, and we ate the matzah. I guess Taji likes it. He eats the matzah too. So that's it. So, and nothing will change, you know, honey. Yeah, let's see.
Well, you tell your story of your exodus from Egypt, your
Yeah,
family's exodus
well,
through Passover.
Yeah, you know, and we mentioned that we left Egypt and the circumstances, you know, and we were 10 people, and now, you know, when we came here, you know, yeah, when we came, Ethan, you know, my father only has $17 in his pocket, nothing else. And we went to the house, and he started working. He didn't have much work, so he started painting houses, worked in a gas station, then worked in the kitchen. Then my mother went and worked with the dishwasher. But the kids, we went to school and we studied, and everybody got a master's degree of all my parents' children, you know, and my kids, they also got, all of them went to college and they studied. And everybody, you know, they're now like my father's children, we all own our houses, we all have lots of money, and our kids, we send them to school and they study. But, and in my family, no work is really bad. You know, you can always, it doesn't matter if you are a dishwasher or you pick up trash or this, as long as you stay honest and you study. And my father, still, he went to school here when he came. You know, they had classes for foreign born, you know, at the Claremont High School, and he would go there and study the English language. He spoke other languages, but he wanted to perfect his English language. Yeah, and that's it. Yeah, so that's it. Yeah. So anyway, I'd like to meet all of you one day, you know, without a mask.
Yes, ma'am.
It'll be nice. Well, I hope you learned something. I don't know if I was good or not. I hope you learned
That was
something.
good. It was
Yeah.
good.
You did a great
I
job.
learned a lot.
But I like you to go and really learn more about the Jewish history, you know, and you'll see lots of people. It's very sad because there were like 80,000 Jewish people in 1956, and now there are only maybe 2 or 3 Jewish people. The new generation, they don't know that Jewish people existed there, you know. They're not there anymore. And it's sad, you know. And
in Egypt.
yeah, that's in Egypt, you know, honey. Yeah. So, but other countries, it's and when they talk, you know, like me, I really miss being in Egypt sometimes. I miss my school. I miss my friends. You know, when we left, we all left at the same time. So I never knew what happened to my girlfriends. You know, they all left at the same time, and each one went to their ways, and we didn't have any way to contact each other. You know, they didn't have cell phone or thing like that. You say, okay, or they went, and that's it. So I haven't met any of my friends since I was 16, you know, that they left. Yeah, so that's the part that I don't like, you know, that. So anyway, so the more you put and learn about, the more you learn about life, you know, and about things like that, the better life you'll have. And always stay in school and study as much as you can. You get your bachelor degree, then go for your master if you can. If you marry, take some classes and become, you know, get whatever you do, always keep studying and teach your kids, you know, and then they'll be successful. You know, that's the only way to be successful, education. And my mother used to say, they took our money, they took our houses, because when we left, you know, we could not sell the furniture because all the Jewish people left at the same time. And then you don't need to buy it, just let them go, you know, nobody will give you money. So we left our belonging there. They only allow you to take 20 pounds of clothes and 20 pounds of money. That's it. So you had, you know, a suitcase. And I remember we needed more to take with us. So I remember wearing 2-3 coats on top of each other so we can take them out, you know, so they didn't weigh when they weigh the luggage. But, and then education, my mom said they took away everything, but education, they cannot take it away from you if you study. And that's it, yeah. So that's it. But Jewish religion is nice, it's tolerant. They love everybody. They love everyone. I never heard anything in the temple to say, hey, that person is bad because he's Christian or he's Muslim. Never in my life. Never, And everybody, now that the Pope said the Jewish people will go to heaven, Kelly, Taj's mom is very happy. So anyway, that's it. Yeah.
Could I share with you about what the Bible says, how to get to heaven?
What, honey?
All right, so have you heard of the 10 Commandments?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to give you like a good person quiz based off the 10 Commandments.
Okay.
How many times would you say you've lied in your entire life?
How many times? What?
How many times have you lied in your entire life?
I lied. Oh, I lied. Yeah, I know I lied. I said white lies. Yeah, but I don't. Like if somebody said, "Do I look good? Do I look nice in that dress? It's the only dress I have." I say, "Yeah, you look pretty good. Yes, yeah, I love you. Yeah."
Same here.
So that's say something like that. Yeah.
Have you ever stolen anything, even if it's small?
Once I took a newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
When we first came to Eugene, my husband, he was unemployed, and I didn't understand the newspaper because they have here section for news and section for finding work, and I would say, why do I have to buy the whole newspaper? It was 10 cents then, for just to get part of that newspaper. So a couple of times I just took the inside of the newspaper. and then I felt bad after doing it, I said, okay. And then I want to put it back. But you know how it used to put the 10 cents and you open it and you get the newspaper out, I say, I don't need all that newspaper. I just need that section to find a job. Okay. That's what I did. I know that. So and it was a long time ago and I didn't, yeah, but and I feel guilty still about it, but I thought it was okay. I'm just taking that section, and I would take like 2 newspapers, take the inside and put them back in, and I close. So for 10 cents, I got 2, so he can read to find a job, and I can help him find a job. Yeah.
Have you ever looked at someone with lust, like, hey, that person's attractive, or like?
What is that?
Looked at somebody with lust.
Lust? No. I never had lust for anybody, including your grandfather. Sorry about that.
Have you ever used God's name in vain? Like
no.
Okay.
No, never. I don't do that. No.
I'm like reading off the script. I'm not judging you, but you've admitted to lying and stealing, and when you get up to the pearly gates, if God judges you based off the 10 Commandments, which is do not steal and do not lie, would you be innocent or guilty?
I guess I'll be innocent because I was stupid and I did it once and I felt so bad. Yeah, I didn't mean to be a thief, steal it. No, I didn't mean to. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think innocent because I was ignorant and say, why do they have to buy the whole section about movie star, about the today news? I just want to know just how to find a job. Okay, that's it. Mm-hmm. So I was stupid and I said, well, you have to buy it. And somebody said it's like when you buy a loaf of bread, you cannot just take 2 slices of bread and put it back in there. They cannot do that. And that's okay. Yeah.
A good judge wouldn't let people get away with breaking the law. So like if someone was caught for like drunk driving or stealing or murder, but even though it was an accident, it would still be considered like illegal. So if the judge would let that slide, then that would make them an evil judge. Does that concern you?
Yeah, I'm very bad at that. I'm very bad because I'm always say like somebody goes and he steal food for his family. Mm-hmm. I even was very sad when I saw the people taking things from New York, bags or this and that. I say, they're so poor, and they're so sad, that they think they'll find some happiness in it. But it's sad because they're extremely poor. It wasn't that they're mean. They were not mean. It's just they were kind of frustrated. So I'm not good at if they go to court, I'll find everybody innocent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Judy will always tell me, we used to watch sometimes shows that they say murder show or this, and I always say, oh, that is innocent, he's innocent, whatever. And I say, how could he be innocent, Ma? Don't you understand this and that? And then they find them guilty. I say, oh, that's too bad. They don't have a heart. These people don't have a heart, you know. But when I feel for everybody that is poor and they do things they're not supposed to, but then sometimes they're just frustrated and they cannot help. It's not like, I mean, I wish there were other ways, but in their mind, I don't think there's other ways. And it's very sad.
But like if God were to judge you, even if you were to throw out ignorance, but wouldn't that still concern you?
He's judged me? No, because I've always talked to him and he loves me very much and I love him very much.
But if he were to judge you as guilty, wouldn't that concern you?
No, because even if he finds me guilty, he's going to be very kind to me. Sometimes I say, you know, Teddy, that if I ever get a stroke, you know, and I don't remember my kids, I always hope that I can still remember that I can pray to God. You know, I want always to remember that God will be there, that I remember God. Even if I don't remember my kids, it's very sad, but I want always, you know, and talk to God all my life, you know.
Could I read to you what the Romans Road is? It's basically like a group of Bible verse on how to get to heaven for Christianity. It says in Romans 3:23, for all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. This verse is saying that no one can meet God's standard of perfection. Everyone has sinned at one point or another by lying or stealing or using God's name in vain, etc. And then in Romans 6:23, for the wages of sin is death. This verse means that according to God, sin deserves death, or like undealt with sin. Romans 5:8, but God demonstrates his own love towards us in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us, where God loves us and sent Christ to die in our place for our sins. And then in Romans 10:9, confess with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead and you will be saved. And then that's meaning the only way to be sure to get to heaven is by accepting Christ as your Lord and letting him take penalty for your sins. And then in Romans 5:1, therefore, since we have been made right in God's sight by faith, we have peace with God because of what Jesus Christ, our Lord, has done for us. And then in Romans 8:1, so now there's no condemnation for those who belong to Christ Jesus. Does any of that make sense?
I don't know the whole thing you're saying. I guess, you know, honey, what happened to the picture? God is very tolerant, honey, and very loving. And that's why, I mean, in the Jewish religion, every year, you know, on Yom Kippur, you know, that's the Day of Atonement, you pray to God to forgive you. And he tells you, I'll forgive you if you forgive others. If you don't forgive others, then, you know, it won't be, but he always forgive, you know, and you ask him for forgiveness. And like you go to confession, but it's not going to confession to a human being. You go to confession to God and you pray to God for forgiveness. And I hope he listens, you know, because, and I'm not perfect. I know I'm not perfect. I've done probably things that in my mind, I think was okay, but probably in other people's mind would say, hey, that's not okay, you know. But I'm not perfect, but I know when I talk to God, I know he loves me and I love him. And I ask him, whatever, if I did something wrong or I said something mean, forgive me, you know, I didn't mean it like that, you know. So sometimes, you know, like I scold the kids or I tell them to behave and I see them very sad. I say, oh my God, okay, I feel bad, you know, but I know that, okay, I had to do the right thing and teach them, you know, that's it. And the most important thing for you and your brothers and everybody is you have to respect your mom and dad.
Yeah.
That's it. That's very important to me. Very important, you know, to our family. And not judge them. They're not perfect. Parents are not perfect and they'll make mistakes, but they'll always want the best for their kids. So that's... So I always love them and cherish them because they're very special people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for your time. Is there anything you need prayer for? Like family, friends, God?
Teddy, you have very nice friends. I hope that you stay friends for a long, long time. You know, you're lucky to have friends. For me, I cherish, you know, the friendship from school, honey, and I miss my friends. I really miss them. So I hope you go to colleges sometime together, or you meet once a year in summer and be together. And then when you marry, you have your families, you know, maybe that would be so cool, honey. That's so cool. You have nice friends there. Nice to meet you, honey. Nice to meet all of you. Nice to
Thank
meet
you.
Nice to
you.
meet you.
Nice to meet
Very
you.
nice. And Miranda, nice to meet you. And Ethan, nice to meet you too, honey.
Hey, Josh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Taji,
Mhm.
you call your grandma sometimes, okay?
Ooh, you got called out.